Hello out there. My name is Jenny, the Advice Guru. Thanks for joining my channel, Sound Advice for Everyone. This is my first audio for listening, and I hope I provide great information and a safe, fun place to learn, grow, and just be entertained. As I start posting more audios, I promise I will get better and better. But first, a little bit about me, since I'm introducing myself, and this is my first audio, is I've always been that type of person who can be on the bus or at a train station or at a store, and a person will come up and then tell them their darkest secret or tell them what's going on in their life without asking. And yeah, I'm that person. So I always have a good ear, great sounding board. I'm very empathetic towards others. So I think that's probably why. And I was raised that way. I have a mother who's a social worker who helps the elderly all her career. I have a grandfather who's a psychologist for the army and also owned his own psychology business. I have a grandmother who was a teacher and loved teaching and helping kids. And I had a father who worked for the mental institution. So counseling and advice giving was sort of second nature towards me, for me. So you think naturally I would have went into the counseling field at first, but I took a left and became a cosmetologist. So yeah, I went to hair school, and that's where I learned that not only to do hair and color, but I was actually being a therapist as well. I learned so much from my clients, things they told me, affairs, and all these things, and situations, obstacles that I was a great sounding board for them, a safe place to come. Of course, they had full confidentiality with me because after they left, I just closed my mind and went off for the next customer. So I learned a lot during that time, and I will share a lot of those stories in the future because I think you'd find it fascinating and interesting because you cannot judge a book by its cover at all. That's what I learned. One of the things I've learned in that position. I do apologize if I act a little nervous. I'm used to doing one on one and talking to a microphone. I'm not so used to, but I will promise I will get used to it. And as I post more audios, it will get better and better. So that's the type of person I was growing up. And then I went into the hair field, like I said. And then I decided to pursue my counseling degree because I realized that is what I enjoyed more than doing hair. And unfortunately, there was obstacles during that time, but actually helped me grow and become a better person. I learned a lot about relationships, about marriage. I learned a lot being a step parent, which we will be discussing a little bit later. That's going to be our first topic for this first episode. And I just learned a lot about myself too. Before I eventually graduated with my counseling degree, I did become a health and wellness life coach and accountability coach. So I became certified in all of that, and I think it just helps me help others because I am more empathetic and I don't pass judgment so quickly. And that's the space I want to incorporate in this crazy world we live in, especially this political world we're at, where the left and the right just hate each other, and it's sad. But I want a place where you can be left, you can be right, you could be gay, you could be straight, you could be black, you could be white, you could be anything. Just this is a safe place for everyone to talk about each other's issues. I do plan on having friends. I do have friends in all walks of life, and different religions, different sexual orientation, different lifestyles that I would like to come on occasionally as guest co-hosts and have those deep discussions to see if something's similar in your life and if it can help you, or you can just say, yeah, I get that. So yeah, and I am choosing to do more of an audio type radio because I do think lots of visuals distract you from listening, and I don't want that. So, and then I have a family, so it's just my preference and the way I communicate. So hopefully you can do your laundry, you could drive your car, you could do whatever. Um, and you could still hear and listen without having the need, oh, do I have to watch this? Do you have to watch that? No. This is just listen and do what you need to do type atmosphere. So there's no judgment, no discrimination, just a place for everyone to connect. And I think that's a beautiful thing because I do have friends who are opposites, and you would think, how can she be friends with both people? It's because I can understand both sides, and I might not agree with with some of them, but the good parts I do understand, and I do can connect with them on that level, if that makes any sense. So I do have a website too that you can check. It'll have tidbits of the information I talk on my audio channel. It's at www.safe1.com, and there'll be health and wellness information, healthy recipes, how to get motivated, take accountability. There'll be parenting issues, relationships and love advice, eating disorders, addictions. There'll be LGBT issues, and we're only going to tip our toes in the political issues respectfully. Okay, this is not a political channel, so I don't want to create crazy. I think there's enough of that out there. But I do have opinions too, and my friends as well, who have opposite opinions that I think will be informative and shows that you can think two different ways. You could be a liberal or conservative and still have a friendship and connect. It doesn't have to be hatred that a lot of times they show on the media. So just tipping our toes in the political issues. All are welcome are here, and our number one goal is about respecting each other and our views. So I hope you come on me with this journey. I hope I can stay on for a very long time, and I hope we can all just connect and be, yeah, be not one, but just be like tagging along on each other's journey, so to speak. So this week I do want to talk about being a step parent, because it's been more challenging than I imagined. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, well, actually 7 years ago, I met my husband. I was not a huge fan of his to date, but he was a cool guy. He made me laugh. I always had a great time. So we were friends, and he really pursued me hardcore, which I appreciated, and it showed that he was interested. Dating was challenging, as you know, many frogs in the sea, and eventually we end up dating. Now, I always avoided dating someone who had children because I was a product, not a product, but I was raised by a stepdad and mom. And I was never close to my stepfather. So growing up was difficult, or my stepbrothers. And then when my parents divorced after 10 years of marriage, I never heard from my stepdad again or my stepbrothers. And also, I saw my mom struggling, not treating me and my younger brother as favored to my stepbrothers. But you can tell she had less attitude with me and my brother than with her step children. So I did see that, and she admitted to that later in life. And my stepdad siblings did confront her at some point about it as they got older. So I just saw the messiness. It wasn't like the Brady Bunch like you would see in on television. So it was a rough upbringing, and then not corresponding with anyone afterward. The divorce was kind of like, okay, so the last 10 years was nothing. Like, there's no connection, which was disappointing for me. So I just avoided anyone that had kids. If someone had kids, I was like, no, especially if the other parent was involved. If the mother was involved, it's like, okay, I know you cannot compete with blood. You just couldn't. At least in my opinion, I felt like I couldn't. So he did have a child from his first marriage. Unfortunately, when he was deployed, because he was in the army, and his child was just born, his ex-wife cheated and wanted out of the marriage. So he didn't have the first 5 years with his kid. Yes, he would call, and every time he was off from deployment, he would visit her for a week or two out of the year, but it wasn't like a constant presence.